So, the Transformers franchise, the franchise that is now known for its bad writing and bland plot, but it wasn't always like this. Believe it or not, in my opinion, the trilogy of the Bayformers are actually not that bad, especially when you compare it to its successor. I'm talking about Age of Extinction and The Last Knight, with Age of Extinction being a little too long, and for some unknown reason, Michael Bay just decided to redesign Optimus completely to be a knight. Like, why? That is so unnecessary. Well, we'll learn why in The Last Knight. Turns out Transformers were fighting alongside King Arthur all along, and that's pretty much it. It almost seems like the only reason Optimus changed into a knight is because Michael Bay just thought that Optimus Prime as a knight will look cool, but I guess we'll never know. Anyways, today we are not going to be talking about Age of Extinction or The Last Knight, nope, not one bit. And yes, I know that they are part of the Bayverse, but I won't include them because, well, fun fact, Dark of the Moon was supposed to be Michael Bay's last Transformers movie, but then he made $1 billion and the studio was like, can you do it again? And the rest is history. Now with that out of the way, what makes this trilogy so good and entertaining to watch? Well, ladies and gents, I believe I have an answer to that. You see, Transformers movies are what you call a summer blockbuster movies, and according to Google, summer blockbuster movies are basically broadly appealing movies with easily understood concept, with memorable action sequences, and beloved characters. And what does Transformers have? Easily understood concept? Check. It's basically just about robots that can change to vehicles. Memorable action sequences? Definitely check. And lastly, beloved characters? Also check, with Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Now, when you watch the Transformers movies, don't expect them to be like this groundbreaking masterpiece of a movie like, I don't know, Interstellar or Inception, because it's not. Not because these movies aren't good, but because these movies offer a different kind of experience. Similarly, how you can't compare a Jeep and a sedan. These two vehicles are cars, but you can't compare them side by side because they are made for two different purposes. Same thing goes with Transformers. You may not get a multi-layered three-dimensional plot and characters like you would in Inception, but the Transformers movies are supposed to be just fun movies where you can relax and enjoy the bot deathmatch happening on the screen. Now, there's a couple of things that I noticed while watching the Transformers movies, and the first one is the action. Look, love him or hate him, you can't deny that Michael Bay just has a knack for making memorable action sequences. I mean, that's basically what Bayhem is. Boom! Bayhem! And the Transformers movies are filled with them. Even the fourth one still has great action sequences, like for example the Hong Kong final battle or Optimus vs. Lockdown at the end of the movie. And even with the fifth one, Michael Bay definitely fumbled the bag with this one. Even with the Optimus vs. Bumblebee fight, which is supposed to be the main selling point of this movie, at best it's mid. But anyways, let's now take a look at this fight scene when Optimus fights against Bone Crusher. This scene, even though it involves only two giant robots, feels real and big. Unlike for example the final battle in The Last Knight, where the fight just feels small and almost kind of fake in a sense, even though it involves a lot more robots. The Bone Crusher fight seems bigger in scale, and that's because of two things. First is the camera angles. The Bone Crusher fight puts the camera at a low angle, making us the audience look up at these already giant robots. And when it's at a low angle, the movie makes the robot fill most of the frame. Like in this scene when Bone Crusher is about to tackle Optimus, they fill half the screen. And not only that, the camera is positioned in a way that makes some of the robot parts not visible, which makes the illusion that they're bigger. The second reason is reference objects, something that we as the audience can compare the robots to. Like in the Bone Crusher fight, it's the vehicles that pass by. In the final battle in this movie, it's the buildings. In the first battle in the second movie, it's the trees, and so on and so on. Basically, to make the robot fight seems bigger, they combine clever camera angles and are every object that we can compare the robots to. But great action sequences are nothing if the music can't back it up, and the music in these movies definitely complements and elevates the scene that they're played in. Like, come on, there's no way you could watch this, or this, or even this, without cracking all a smile, come on. But the music not only elevates the action sequences, it also elevates, believe it or not, the emotional sequences too. Like for example, when Bumblebee got captured by Sector 7 in the first movie. Now in this movie, Sam and Bumblebee had developed a close bond. A bond that we see developed throughout the movie, from Sam just seeing Bumblebee as his trashy first car, to eventually loving it.
Oh my god, I love my car.
Which makes this scene where Bumblebee gets captured by Sector 7 more devastating to watch. And also, this scene is a perfect example why Bumblebee is the heart of the Transformers movies, because even though Bumblebee can't speak directly, meaning he speaks through radio, it actually amplifies the bond that he has with Sam, because it relies purely on human empathy, instead of them just saying nice words to each other. Now, we've talked about how good the action are, we've talked about how good the musics are too, but is that it? Nope, ladies and gentlemen, I believe why these movies are so entertaining to watch is that it also leaves your brain question at the very least subconsciously on whether or not the events that happen in the movie could actually be real. Now, I know what you're thinking. What do you mean whether or not it could actually be real? It's a giant sentient alien robots. Of course it's not real. And yeah, well, that is unfortunately true. That is not what I meant. You see, in Transformers 1, turns out the rapid advancements of technology in the 20th century, such as microchip, lasers, spaceflight, cars, it was all reverse engineered from Megatron. And also the true reason of the construction of the Hoover Dam is to hide Megatron and the Allspark away from humans and aliens. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this movie takes real-life events such as the rapid advancements of technology in the 20th century or the creation of the Hoover Dam and create a history of its own, making us wonder if it could be true. And it's not only in the first movie. In the second movie, it's with the pyramids being built over a Cybertronian construct also known as the Sun Harvester. In the third movie, it's with the cause of the space race in the 60s. Turns out the cause of the space race in the Bayformers was an Autobot ship or the Ark crashing to the moon. Now, as you can probably tell by now, these movies make important events from our history like the moon landing and insert a bit of juicy Transformers media in them, making us believe more that these alien space robots are actually real, besides, the godlike CGI. Now, before we go any further, there's one thing I want to point out, and that's the insanely satisfying transformations that the Transformers have. Yes, the CGI is good in pretty much every Transformers movie, but if the transformation from vehicle to robot or vice versa is not satisfying, then it would ruin the hard work that I've put into making these robots feel and look real. I mean, just take a look at some of these transformation sequences. So yeah, whether you like these movies or not, there's no denying that the CGI and animation for these movies are definitely top notch. Now let's dive into each of the Transformers movie, cause why not? Now let's talk about the 2007 movie first, cause this movie sets a great introduction to the Bayverse. First of all, this movie sets a great example of the threat that Cybertronians have against humans, cause in the beginning of the movie, we see how one Decepticon managed to destroy an entire military base all on its own, and how the soldiers and everyone there are all powerless against it. It establishes the huge power gap between the humans and the Cybertronians. And it shows throughout the movie, as we see the soldiers struggling to take out Scorponok, this scorpion robot looking thing that's not even half the size of a normal Cybertronian. But still, they need a whole airstrike to help them, and even then it still lives. They only managed to blow its tail off. And so when we got our first official robot battle being Bumblebee vs Barricade, we can't help but be a little excited because we have seen what these Cybertronians are capable of. Now let's move on to the second movie, Revenge of the Fallen. And yes, it's still pretty bad. Like the main doohickey, for example, the Sun Harvester, the device that harvests suns to produce energon, turns out in the past it was placed on Earth by the Primes thinking that there were no life there. But obviously there are, and so all of the Primes was like, no, we can't turn the device on, there's sentient life on the planet, if we destroy their sun, they'll die. But the Fallen was like, nah, and well, he got beat up by the other Primes just to turn the device on in the present day and got uppercut by Optimus. Now, first of all, why does it have to be placed on Earth? There are a lot of other stars out there in the universe besides Earth. Can't we just pick another one with a life on it? And another thing, when the Fallen said, "Revenge is mine," like to who exactly? Cause the Fallen was betrayed by his fellow Primes, not humans. So who is he taking revenge against? Like dude, they're already dead. Now, the movie is not all bad. There are some redeeming qualities about this movie, like the action, for example. They definitely take what's great in the first movie in terms of spectacle and improve on it. Like, for example, the opening battle with Demolisher, the battle in Egypt, and of course, how can I forget, one of the best fights in the series, the Force battle. And yes, even though Revenge of the Fallen is kinda terrible in terms of story and plot, basically just a pure mindless action movie, the movie knows that and fully embraces it. That's why we get scenes like this. Now let's move on to the third movie, Dark of the Moon. Now even though this movie's writing may not be as top notch as the first movie, it is still definitely better than the second one, which is not really that hard to achieve, but still. This movie takes what's great about the past two movies and dial it up to the maximum. Great action? Check. Big ass explosions? Check. Actual plot? Check. Basically, I think Dark of the Moon is a great example of how great Transformers movie could be. Now, like I said before, don't expect a whole groundbreaking masterpiece when you watch these movies. These movies are not supposed to make you think hard. These movies are supposed to just make you sit back, relax, and enjoy the great action sequences. Now there's one thing that I wish we got in the movie that we don't, which is Sam working alongside the Autobots. And yes, he does work alongside the Autobots in the movie, but what I mean is that the government would recruit him to Nest and go on missions with the Autobots, instead of what we got in the movie, which is Sam trying to find a job. Cause I think it makes sense if Sam got recruited to Nest, especially when Sam played a crucial part in defeating Megatron in the first movie and reviving Optimus in the second one. But what do you guys think of these three movies? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. And so with that said, thanks for watching and enjoy Shia LaBeouf kicking his car.